and this is Jacquelyn McMiller. She is running as a candidate for Fort Myers, and I believe if she does win, which I hope she does, she is going to be a people's mayor for the city of Fort Myers. So Jacquelyn, first, thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to talk to us.
Absolutely, Rob. Absolutely. It's this is what I'm here for, and putting myself out there and making myself available for anyone that wants to have a conversation. So that's what it's all about.
Right. So for the people that do not know about you, Jacquelyn, can you introduce yourself to the viewers? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Jacquelyn McMiller. I am not a politician. I'm a mom. I am a corporate owner. I ran a corporation, my own corporation, for in Collier County for several years. I was a appointed official stenographer, court reporter in Collier County. I have a background also in legal studies. My degree was obtained in legal studies and stenography, and my second degree, my bachelor's degree, was obtained in management and business management and risk management specifically. I do also have a wonderful history with working with the Department of Children and Families, and I was a trainer. And the reason why I say it was wonderful is because of the fact that I had an opportunity to meet people from the poorest of the poor to some of the richest people within that, as a part of that, you know, those duties as a child protective investigator. So it gave me the ability. I was, first and foremost, I was an introvert. And that enabled me to meet people and get to know people from a grassroots effort and that grassroots level, to be able to understand and communicate with them, but most of all, empathize, you know, and dealing with, you know, young people and older people and kind of finding out some of the things that they're going through on a daily basis. So that was the richest experience that I could ever have. But I'm a mother of three. I have 2 boys and a daughter and 5 glamorous grandchildren. They are the best thing since anything. I have four boys and 1 girl, and they are my heart and best thing that I ever could have done as a parent and as a grandmother. But I never started out as a politician and you know, not being a politician. And so I'm learning as I go along, and all I can do is be honest. I always had these negative thoughts about being a politician, but someone has to get out there and take that risk. And I'm taking that risk, you know, with everything I've and learning as I go along and meeting some of the most wonderful people. And I would not change any of this for the world.
Well, I say stay the way you are right now. Don't turn it into a politician. We don't want that.
Never.
So we'll move on to the next question. So what made you run for mayor? I mean, it seems like you've done so many things in your life so far, obviously more to come, but why mayor?
Because the city of Fort Myers has been struggling for years, and I'm dedicated to taking Fort Myers in a new direction, and I knew that they needed to go into a new direction. They have forgotten about our young people. We have the FGCU, one of the most you know, renowned colleges now in universities, and all of our kids are here. They're learning, but they're having to leave because they can't make a living here with their degrees. And it's just unbelievable. We're having what I call it a little bit of brain drain. We have the brains and we cultivate it here, and they have to leave to be able to make a living. But we need that new direction because of the fact that, you know, our police department has been corrupt for so many years, and this has been documented independently by a free report that the police chief, when he first came, requested that it be completed. And this is documented evidence of corruption that's affecting the lives of people and of the community. And it is time to stop, and it's time for us to go into a new direction. And I'm looking forward to taking us there, addressing the environment. Billy's Creek has been an eyesore for so many years. And it used to be a beautiful area, but now it's filled with feces, and we have toxic sludge that we're dealing with. We have unattainable housing. Our teachers want to stay here. We have wonderful minds, but they can't stay because of the fact that they can't even afford to live. And we need to make some changes here. And I'm dedicated to doing that.
So as a person that's been involved in legal studies, you've worked in the child welfare system, but I want to kick this around with legal studies and with the police. Obviously, this is a huge story. It's been going on for years upon years on end, but especially in the last, I would say, 6 months, this has been a huge story with police brutality and race issues, which I believe is being drummed up by the president's rhetoric. Now, this has started
Absolutely.
since he started running in 2015. So with that said, what reforms will McMiller administration put into place?
Well, one of the first two I would say that I would want to do is change what they're doing right now to community policing. Giving the police an opportunity to actually do their job and focus on what they're supposed to do. And that is to provide safety and protection to the citizens. Right now, they are being called out for mental health, drug overdoses, all of these other things that we can have other people that are really focused and capable of handling something like that, those types of calls, and let our police do their job. They're being stretched very thinly. So, and focusing on that, there's a lot of programs that are out there. We don't have to go out and recreate the wheel. There's one in Oregon that's been working perfectly since 1989, and we just haven't had the opportunity or taken the initiative to go and seek solutions. We're just doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result. I refuse to do that. In addition to that, we need to demilitarize our law enforcement. We are not in Afghanistan. We are not in some third world country where we need those military police and the training for them to do that. We need to be more of community. And we need to be more focused on that, because if you're focusing on the military, you're forgetting about the people. And we need to also have that oversight. The military has oversight. Why shouldn't the law enforcement be able to have that oversight as well?
I agree with you 100%. To keep moving into this, we hear a lot of Democratic candidates for different offices, and even for President of the United States, and President Trump is speaking about this defund the police. I believe that the problem is the way this is worded. When we say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously you may think differently. When I think defund the police, I think, like you said, community policing, not the militarization of the police force. I mean, we're getting all these weapons that, all these defense contractors that aren't using anymore in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're giving us to police. There's no need for that. Also, bringing social workers into the police force. We talk about jobs, getting good paying jobs. That will get rid of crime, people making good money. So is that what you're saying? Like that's what I believe when people say defund the police. It's not that we don't want police. We want police, but we want the correct police, the people that are acting correctly on the streets.
Absolutely. And I totally agree. And even more so, when people say defund the police and they're just focused on that word, we need to change it. We need to go in and we need to reallocate those funds that law enforcement is receiving for their military vehicles and all of this training to go in and burst in and do all of these very militarized exercises. We don't need it. So what's the purpose of having it? We need to put those funds and use those funds into social services, into someone that is able and capable of handling those calls that are drug overdose, people that are going through mental health crises. Right now we know just by historically, law enforcement isn't capable of handling that. We are getting people that are being shot. I saw a grandmother, 60-year-old, that was shot and killed because she was going through a mental health crisis. And we can do better than that. And I don't want the city of Fort Myers deserves something better than that. And we can do that as long as we put the funding where it deserves to be.
I feel like the race in this country has gotten to a boiling point where people are acting insane right now. And we see on the streets, Black people, men and women are dying on the streets, dying in prisons. We look at Sandra Bland a little while ago. How do we fix race issues in this country?
We need to get a leader that
Yeah,
is not so divisive.
right.
The people that follow a leader like that is they want that divisiveness, and he's feeding the flames to that. And once we get that leader, but that also goes for the president, but it also goes for our local leaders as well. If you're feeding that divisiveness, your cities, your small towns are going to be acting accordingly. And that's where it starts at. And part of my, I've lived in both sides of the city. I grew up in Dunbar, which is predominantly African American. However, I raised my children in Gateway, which is a gated community. I worked hard. I wanted to make sure that they were in a safe environment, what I considered as a safe environment. And but I've been able to be blessed to experience both. And I've also been targeted myself because of my skin color. So I understand what each role under these guise under these umbrellas, each role, and I understand how it feels. And I can relate to each one, those in Gateway and those in the Dunbar in African, predominantly people of color communities. So I know how they feel. I know how it feels to be targeted. I understand how the heartbreak when you're trying to do your best and you're doing well. And we have a lot of people here in the city of Fort Myers that have been targeted. Deion Sanders has been targeted. Nate Allen has been targeted. I have been targeted. And these are things in baseball players because of the color of their skin. And it is time to stop. And it is time to go into a new direction where everyone can live and be able to live accordingly.
This kind of goes into what you're saying, but I want to go into economic development, gentrification, homelessness, all that stuff right now, since we kind of are going to move into that realm anyway. Can we talk about this? There's been a lot of development in Fort Myers. Personally, I'm worried in knowing the area myself about affordable housing. Now, we don't just see that in Fort Myers. We see that in Orlando, Tampa, Miami, all over the country in general. But the affordable housing problem is all over the country and all over the state of Florida. There's continuing gentrification all over the state too. What policies would you put in place to stop this development? And not even just that, Jacquelyn, we also look at the issues with the development, and it's screwing up our environmental issues over here. We have
Yes.
environmental issues due to this ongoing development. It's nonstop all over the state.
Mm-hmm. And with growth, a lot of people are afraid of growth. I am not. But there's a difference between just developing nonstop and smart growth.
Yes.
There's a difference. And that's what we need to focus on. There's something, what I understand to be land trusts. And those land trusts enable people to be able to purchase homes and have that attainable housing. We have nurses, we have teachers that cannot afford housing. However, if we make it where it is attainable, people will work, and they will work hard to be able for home ownership. And that's what we need to look for, to have those particular incentives like those community land trusts, and be able to provide the homes at a decreased amount because of the fact that we're building generational wealth that leads to that generational wealth. We're going to have children, our children's children, having these homes and being able to expand on that. And that's what I really want to focus on, but be smart about it. Work smart, not hard.
So to go into that, and you touched on, and we touched on the environmental issues to this development, how we talk about clean water, and we hear about the blue-green algae that's hit that side of Florida. What would you do to protect the city as far as, dealing with these water issues, and also, going to the beach and enjoying it, because that's a big part of tourism in general too?
Well, we have some policy teams that we're working with. And my main thing is I want to listen to, you always hear about, oh, the experts say this or whatever. However, the leadership is not listening to the experts. That is the difference. Captains of Clean Water, they are some of the people that I have on my team to work towards finding solutions to ensure that that growth is also being smart enough and protecting our waterways. I've lived in Fort Myers, I've lived in Florida all of my life. I was born in Florida. And I'm a fisherman, I love to fish. So I've been down to Matlacha. The difference in the water there, that growth that they've had in Matlacha and Pine Island has affected tremendously the fishing area down there and the waters. Also, Sanibel is one of those areas where I'm concerned about. I want to make sure that they maintain their that environment and understand it. But the main thing is our waterways and within the Caloosahatchee and this green algae is, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but I'm the type that I hear about it, I see it on television, but let me go down. I want to walk down and I want to step right there in that area. I want to see the algae. I want to experience what these people that are living on our waterways are experiencing every day. And I think that that's the issue that many of our leaders are not doing. They're too busy sitting behind desks and not putting themselves out there to truly understand what's happening with our people and with our community. And we're going to address that blue-green algae. We're going to address that brown water. Can you believe it? There's brown water coming out of the taps that stink to high heaven. And our city says, run it for 20 minutes and you'll be okay until it clears up. That is unbelievable. I would like to give them a glass of it and let them try it.
Yeah, it's disgusting, and there's water issues all over this country. Flint, Newark, New Jersey. I did an interview on that a little while ago. Fort Myers now. It's really bad. And, you know, we need water to live, and water is life. So we need to clear up these issues. And, you know, you go back to the blue-green algae. There's people that have businesses near those beaches. They depend on the tourism there. If that tourism isn't coming to the city or where the beach is, they're not going to make any money. They're going to go out of business. That's going to hurt their livelihood. They could go homeless, lose their house. You know, it's all a cycle. It's sad.
It really is. The fish kills, the fish are dying, and it's getting longer and longer. Those episodes is getting longer and longer. We're losing business from the tourism because no one wants to travel from New York and across the country to come here when you have a beach full of dead fish. They don't want to be going and experiencing some of the things, some of the beauty that we have here in Florida. And you're facing that blue-green algae. It burns the eyes. People do not realize how terrible it is. And for us to pretend as though it's not there, they'll mention it on the news or whatever, but who's actually doing something about it? And it's time to make sure that we address it. We speak to the experts, find solutions, and make sure it's taken care of.
Unfortunately, not too many people are talking about it or doing anything about it. I agree with you 100%. Jacquelyn McMiller here on Fire Breathing Rob. She is a candidate for mayor of Fort Myers, and I believe she'll be a people's mayor if she does win her election, which we hope she does. As we move into this interview, Jacquelyn, I want to talk about COVID-19. We know that the governor has been a total disaster for the state as far as opening things up too soon. Also, the unemployment system has been a huge disaster all over the state, not to mention the country. If you do get elected, and we know this is going to happen in November, which COVID-19 will still be going on, what will you do as far as COVID-19?
Well, what I would first do is reassess everything. I listen to the experts and Dr. Fauci and the CDC, and listening to them with us going into the colder season, as we call cold in Florida, as cold as it gets in Florida, you know, they're expecting that the numbers begin to rise. If we do not have the CDC recommended guidelines that says that we're at the number that we need to be, where we can get rid of or forego any mandate of masks, that's fine. I'm going to follow the CDC guidelines. However, if we are not, and I'm hoping, and I know Joe is committed to this, I'm working with the Biden campaign as well on, with our campaign, and we're working in conjunction with each other, and we're on the same page. If we're not at a place where we can do that and safely do it, we need to have that mask mandate. In the city of Fort Myers, when we were at record numbers, and Fort Myers was the hot spot, there was, at the city council meeting, there were the people spoke up and they said, we need the mask mandate. I begged them for that mask mandate at city council, and they denied it. We had 3 city council members that said yes. In the African community, African American community, the brown community, we are, by nature, we are more susceptible to COVID-19. We have a high rate of death mortality. So therefore, 3 of the city council members voted yes for the mandate. There were 4 that voted against it, and they were all Trump supporters. They're listening to someone that doesn't even live in this city, who is the top in the country for at the time, for new COVID-19 cases. Now we're not testing as much as we used to. It's affecting the numbers. So we need to be aware of it, and that's definitely something I plan to address.
Yeah, I agree 100%. They're not testing. That's why the cases are down. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know this. It's a total joke. What is your take on sending the kids back to school? Do you believe that they went back to school too soon? And how will you tackle this issue if elected?
They certainly went back to school too soon. And I can tell you this, and I'm pretty sure every other American that has any ounce of sense and common sense are saying the same thing. Listen, if the president's son, Barron's school, shut down and has not opened, and he's not sending his son to school, what makes our children and grandchildren any less valuable? That's my point. And if you're forcing, what you're doing is you're forcing the schools to open because of the fact that you're going to hold the federal funding of the schools if they don't open up. That's blackmail. And you're blackmailing us with our children's lives. And that is never in a million years would I have even thought that we would be facing something like this. So, and not only that, it's not just the children, it's the families of the teachers. The teachers have children. Some of our most gifted teachers that have been working in the school systems as educators for over 30 years, they're retiring because of the fact that they do not want to risk their lives. I've met some of them. I've seen the tears that they've cried because of this, because they love what they do, but they cannot risk their lives. That's not what they signed up for. So I would want to work with the school system, the Lee County school system here, and see what we can do to gradually, because we need to learn from all of those other schools. And if they're closing, find some of the things that we can do to make sure that there's better virtual schools, more access to the virtual schooling, work out the kinks to that, and try to get and make sure our kids are safe and our teachers are safe as well.
This is Jacquelyn McMiller. She's running for mayor of Fort Myers here on Fire Breathing Rock. Will you take the vaccine even if it hasn't been fully vetted? And what will you tell the constituents as mayor if this comes out and it's not really vetted that well?
I would make sure that they're well informed. Would I take it? Absolutely not. I love me, and I'm sure everyone else loves themselves to the point where they want to make sure that they're safe. Your life should not be a political game. And this is the difference. This is not about November 3rd and being elected president or anything like this. This is dealing with the lives of people, these precious people. And we cannot barter with that. And we can't push a vaccine where it hasn't been vetted, has not been tested, and that kind of goes back to the testing that he was saying about the one everyone takes the some type of medication and hydrochloroquine.
Hydrochloroquine, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and doing that, and people ran out and did it, and look at some of the consequences of that. So we need to be smart about it. We cannot follow someone that is more focused on his political career than the people and the lives of the people. And it is absolutely not something that I would recommend, but I think it's a personal choice for everyone, but that personal choice should always be where they have the true information and they can make that decision at that time. But it is definitely not something that I would do.
Agreed 100%. And I have one more question, but just to tap on, we saw people drinking bleach because the president was talking about disinfectants. I mean, it's crazy, and people got sick. Some people even died because they listened to him joking around because people believe 100% everything this man says, a lot of these followers of his,
Mhm.
which is extremely sad in a country like ours. Um, but I want
Very
to end with
much.
I agree. I want to end with the last question, and this is about economic development. We know a lot of people are struggling throughout our country and with the state of Florida too. People are worried about COVID. People are worried about healthcare. People are worried about their jobs. They don't have any jobs, or their part-time work is, and they got furloughed. With that being said, you have a huge university in your neck of the woods, FGCU. How would you incorporate them and in general, but mostly with them, how would you incorporate them to maybe be a city partner with you guys to develop jobs, whether it's research and development, any other jobs? And also the second question about economic development, how will you build economic development as mayor of Fort Myers?
Well, I think the first thing is we have the brains here.
Yes.
We have the knowledge and we have the brains. So what we need to do is start building relationships with partners all around the United States to let them know that we have some brains here. Come, build your business, and let's start getting the jobs out there and making sure that we can keep those people here where they don't have to leave to be able to maintain a job and maintain a living wage. This is where it starts. It also starts with making sure that we do, number one, we do have the jobs and cultivating that relationship with FGCU. And they're going to be a big part of what my policies are going to be, and especially partnering with them to make sure that we can keep those brains here. So yeah, just building. We have a long road ahead of us because our current leaders have not done their job. They just have not. So now what do we need to do? We need to bring back the restaurants. We need to bring back the tourism, because with the tourism, it builds on the restaurants, downtown Fort Myers, all over the county in this area. So we can start having that economy start to rebuild. And that's going to take some time, but it will take some smart thinking about how we're going to do it without risking people's lives as well. So it's that usually making sure that we're balancing that.
Again, Jacquelyn McMiller here on Fire Breathing Rob, running for Fort Myers mayor. Again, I
Yes,
believe that
Rob.
I believe that this city definitely needs her because she will be a people's mayor. Definitely get her out, help her out, whether it's volunteering. If you don't want to go out, I totally understand, but help her out with phone banking. You can do that at home. You can do text banking at home. You can contribute from home. So do anything you can. We need more people like her in office as far as politicians in general. So as we end the interview, Jacquelyn, can you tell the people where they can find more about you and also how they can help you in general, besides maybe the things that I just spoke about?
Mhm. Actually, including everything you just spoke about, phone banking. We need feet on the ground. If you're in your area, we want you to be able to be safe. We provide all the gloves and the face masks, but just tell your neighbors, tell your friends about what we're doing. This is going to be a huge change. There's never been, the last woman that was elected in this city was back in 1948. and she was kicked out on a recount, after 9 months. So I will be the first woman that has actually served a full term. But I want the young people, you guys are our future. And it's up to us at my age, even though I'm only a little bit older than you guys, just a teeny, I want to cultivate that, because I want you guys to take that baton and make sure that this city and our area soars. There's so much that we can do, and I cannot do it alone. I need all the feet on the ground. I need texters, I need phone banking, donations. And I know it's been difficult, and I'm not taking anything from these big corporations and these big developers, because of the fact that I'm not up for sale. I'm not up for sale. I'm here. McMillerformayor.com. Go to McMillerformayor.com. You can donate. You can let us know if you need signs or anything like that. That's available to you. And we need all the help we can get. This is going to be a team effort, and I want to make it a team. And also, my phone number's on all of my literature and is also on the website. So they're welcome to give me a call if they have any questions.
That's great.
It's all about transparency.
That's great as far as
Yes.
accessibility to the voters. And definitely the most important thing we need to do as voters is to get out and vote. Definitely we need to vote people like Jacquelyn in as far as mayor of Fort Myers. We also need to get out and vote for Joe Biden and also other progressives that are running for office. And we need to change this country. It's taken a toll for the worst right now. So
Definitely.
Jacquelyn, thanks so much. Go to McMillanformayor.com, correct, right?
Yes, McMillerformayor.com. Forward to seeing
McMillanformayor.com.
you guys there.
All right, sounds good. Jacquelyn, thanks so much. And when you win, let's definitely do this again with Mayor Jacquelyn McMiller.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob.